we're joined now by Super Bowl champ Frank Clark, who was a disruptive force in the postseason, totaling 9 tackles, 5 sacks, and 7 QB hits. Congrats on an exciting Super Bowl. We were in Miami for it, and we're just so happy for you. So
thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Amazing run. But we were just talking before we came on. You had an amazing upbringing that I was not aware of until about a minute ago. I didn't know you grew up in Los Angeles and South Central for your first 12 years.
Yeah.
And what was that like?
It's pretty dope. You know, an experience, real. You know, at the end of the day, when you come from a place like that, you know, you taught survival, you taught all the skills you need, you know, in a world like this today, you know, early on. And that's kind of how I learned it. You know, went through the things, you know, the hood, growing up in the hood, typical things. Not the first, but definitely not the last. And lesson taught, you know, things learned.
So how bad was it for you? How rough was it for you?
Oh, it was very rough. You know, growing up, typical. You know, you worried about the normal things in my life. You know, you would call normal today. It's the food on the table. It's you know, worried about where mom's at, where dad's at. You know, if your friends are making home safe, will you see your friends the next day and things like that. So you know, once you know, making a move to eventually Cleveland, you know, that was the best thing that happened to me.
And you got to play high school football for Ted Ginn Sr., who was quite a father figure, right?
Yes, very much so. Wouldn't call it nothing less than that. A father. Coach Ginn was a great guy. Did everything that I needed him to do. You know, couldn't ask for nothing more from him. And just did everything that I needed him to do to be that person.
Good for you. Turned your life around.
Yes.
So you made the most controversial statement of all the playoffs, and that was before you played in the AFC Championship game against Tennessee. And here came Derrick Henry, and you basically said, he's not that hard to tackle, and we're going to tackle him, right?
Yeah.
That you actually said he should run a little harder for his size than he even does, right?
Yeah.
So how did that play in your locker room?
I feel like it kind of brought a little bit of confidence at the end of the day. It wasn't nothing personal to Derrick. Of course, we all know he's a great player, tough runner, had a great year this year, especially towards the latter half of the season in the playoffs where he was very, you know, like I said, I feel like he was, you know, honestly the best running back in the league, you know, in the playoffs. So, but at the time, you got to understand, we're going into a situation where, you know, we playing in one of the biggest games of our career. We're going into a situation where it's the AFC Championship.
Right.
We got to bring this home for our coach. We got to bring this home, you know, for our fans, for everyone who's been waiting for this, you know, 50 years.
Right.
You know, you wait to get to this point for 50 years as fans, as coaches, as a guy like Andy Reid who's never won a championship, a Super Bowl. So, you know, we know winning this game is going to take us to the Super Bowl eventually, but more than ever, we want to bring home that championship for that the last name on that trophy.
We talk about your playoff run. Now, you had 8 sacks in the regular season in 16 games.
Yeah.
But where you earned your money was in the playoffs because in those 3 games, you had 5 sacks. How were you able to elevate your level of play come playoff time as opposed to the regular season?
Man, it's that will to win and that will to want to do better. You know, I feel like, you know, a team like Kansas City, you know, they put so much trust and faith into you, bring you in, they pay you all this money to do, you know, so many things that they seen you do over the last 4 years in Seattle. The one thing I feel like I had a slow start to my season. You know, I'm dealing with injuries, I'm dealing with all these different things, but at the end of the day, it's football, man. There's you know, plenty of people, all these guys dealing with injuries, all these guys dealing with stuff. So, you know, what makes me different? What makes me so special? And that's kind of how I took it. And after, I believe, Game 6, Game 7, you know, I kind of took it to that level. You know, it was time to go to that level. And I remember me and Honey Badger sitting there looking at each other in the locker room after we took that loss in Tennessee. And we was like, man, it's time to go gangster. And that's the term that, you know, Coach Spags used. But it was really time to go gangster out there.
Are you surprised? I mean, you had your last year in Seattle. You're 25 years of age. You come off a season in which you have 13 sacks. Are you surprised that a 25-year-old edge rusher was moved from Seattle to Kansas City?
I was surprised, but honestly, in this world, in the world of the NFL and the business world, I really wasn't. I understood. I had seen it happen so many times, honestly. When I get there, you know, I'm in the likes of Richard Sherman, Michael Bennett, Cliff Averill. I got all these guys, not the short-come guys, but I got all these guys across the table who I can look to for veteran leadership. Brandon Mebane.
Right.
You watch over the years, every year I was with Seattle, guys get shipped away. I watched Brandon Mebane leave. I watched Michael Bennett leave. I watched Richard Sherman leave. I watched Cam Chancellor retire. I watched Earl Thomas, eventually, get traded. So I watched a lot of my guys, my vets, guys who I looked up to, guys who I looked to for, learning this way. Learning the ropes. I watched them go because of the business. Not because of nothing personal, but because of the business.
So you did hold Derrick Henry on that afternoon to 16 for 69 yards. And in the second half, he had 3 carries for 7 yards. So you were able to back up what you said before the game, right?
In turn, I guess you could say. Sometimes we always try to stay humble, man.
Well,
stay humble.
But you did say after the game, we sent his, home, right? And you did. Yeah. So, and you were pretty crazed after the game. You were screaming to the crowd and everybody else,
yeah.
So, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Having fun with it.
Yeah.
Having fun with it.
Okay. So, how did Honey Badger and some of the more veteran guys after the game, did they say they liked that you said that? Did you write the basic check that they had to cash?
No, I just, man, I don't look at it like that. I play this game from an old school standpoint.
Right.
It's a mental game with me. It's a mental game. I look at a lot of the older players. I got guys like Sam Madison on our coaching roster who I can look to for advice, who I can look to talk to. You watch old film of him, how much he used to talk stuff. You watch guys like yourself. You watch how much guys used to talk stuff. You know what I mean?
But that's how you was in Seattle.
Hop on the telephone.
The boom. That's all.
And that's all you taught. That's what you taught. And that's how you learn. And like I said, look at my veterans. I got Michael Bennett as one of them. I got a guy as outspoken as Richard Sherman. But guys who keep it real. In their own right. And but like you said, referring to my teammates, they all rally, man. They know how I am. I'm like this 24/7. It's no cutoff for me when it comes to how I am on that field. I got 6 months to be like that. Only 6 months. Right. Honestly, I might as well have fun.
Anybody come to you before the Super Bowl and say you got to tone it down going into this game?
Honestly, only my media. Only the media. Only the media. They told me turn it down until game day, then I can let it all out and have fun. Really? And that's exactly what I did. I tried my best, honestly. I tried, Skip.
Okay.
All right.
Talk to us about your quarterback. I think he's the best in football right now.
Oh.
You left a place that had a very good quarterback, a very great quarterback in Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Similarities, differences?
It's a lot of similarities. It's a lot of differences as well. I believe one of the similarities that a lot of people miss is the fact that both of these guys have this baseball pass.
Right.
It's the baseball pass as far as their throwing styles and things they're able to do, the mechanics, how they're able to run, how they're able to throw on the run and make tight throws and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of people miss that. And we play baseball. A lot of baseball players, their ability to throw side throws, the arm angles, and these are the two things they share. I believe that's the most common similarity. Other than that, the differences. You got a younger guy and an older guy. I feel like that, honestly, that's the biggest difference. Same type of guys. One's a little shorter, one's a little taller. No shade to my boy Rush. That's my dog. Shout out Rush. But that's the only thing. You talk about competitive spirit. I've never seen nobody as competitive as Pat Mahomes at the age he's at. The guy's on another level. His leadership skills. How he's able to lead a team. He's able to lead a team of guys, man, to a place that they've never been. In what, 3 years that he did it.
What was it like? You guys down by double digits in every single game. At one point, you're down 24-0 to the Texans. What was he like? What was his message to you guys on the sideline?
Oh, man, he held the faith. When you're talking about a guy who holds the rope more than anybody, it's him. You're talking about a guy who never gives up, a guy who trusts his team more than anybody. That's him. You look around, you got to keep it real and be honest. There's some guys who gonna look at him and be like, man, we going home. Or it's over, or whatever. But you look at a guy like Pat. Pat, it's not 1 second that he doesn't have faith that we can win that game. And that's any game, whether it's a preseason game or whether it's a playoff game, whether we down, 20 and 24-0 or down 21-0 in the game before that or whatever's going on, and against the Texans even. When you watch all these tight series and all these tight games where, you look at the quarterback and you expect him to, win. You want the quarterback to you get fourth quarter drives and stuff like that. So. Pat Mahomes, best quarterback in football. No.
So how many should you win in a row, given your talent and his leadership ability and playmaking?
You said, oh, man, Super Bowls?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
What is this set up for? If you can max it
I don't know if it's set up for it. I wouldn't say that. I don't even like speaking on it like that, man, because the Super Bowl is a precious thing. It's very precious. I'm a young player still. I'm 26 years old. I got a Super Bowl under my belt, and it's not a lot of guys who's in the Hall of Fame, guys who's retired playing this game who can even say they made it to a Super Bowl. You know, you have guys who went to a Super Bowl once who lost and who's never been back who said they'd be back next year. You know, and that's the one thing we didn't want to get on. It was that routine. It's that I'll be back next year routine.
Right. Yep.
You talk to your coaches, you talk to the veteran coaches, they know a thing or two about that. And they tell you, the Super Bowls, you can win 5 Super Bowls. The ones you lost are the ones you remember every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the games you remember. I tell Skip this all the time. We lost in the divisional round in '96 to Jacksonville. And that game still haunts me more than winning the Super Bowl bring me joy.
Really?
Yep.
Well, all I know is they're going to be favored to win next year.
They got Mahomes. Mahomes. Now what?
I think it's because they got Frank Clark. That's what I
Frank,
think.
thank you so
He holding
much.
it down.
I appreciate y'all.
It's so interesting to hear you chat about
Appreciate
Mahomes,
you
and we're just
guys.
so happy for you. So wishing you
Thank
all
you.
the best. Enjoy. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.